All right. So, I want you guys to say this real quick. Clark was kind of saying it. What was it? Energy or 100%? Do I say energy or do I say 100%?
100%.
Okay. 100%?
Energy!
Very good. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to teach you guys something today that I think is going to be very valuable for you, because I realized after conversing, we had a meeting with our sales rep from Ivari a couple weeks ago, and I realized I personally have never done a training on this, especially when it comes to young people. Okay, we're going to learn how to prospect an older generation. Are you guys excited for that? Yeah, because it's going to create some massive results when it comes to your business. And I think ultimately we are not just here just to hang out. We're here to create results for ourselves, for our team members, and for our families. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself here. So my background is I was a full-time pastor. I was in ministry, so I don't just say I'm a pastor, I actually have a bachelor's degree. Because there are some people that I've come across with, and they're like, oh, do you just kind of label yourself as a pastor? I'm like, no, I actually went to school for it. And I was doing that for many years because I believe that one of my God-given callings is to help unlock people's potential. God-given potential, all right? I love working with people. I love unlocking people's potential. It's kind of something that I believe that He has instilled in me. And in about 2017, 2018, it was more like 2018 actually, I started to ask this question, is there more? Although spiritual disciplines, spiritual maturity is very important, don't get me wrong. But I began to ask the question, can I guide people in more areas than just in the area of spirituality? Now, how can I impact the world in a bigger way? See, here's the thing, and I keep hearing this, I listen to a lot of success talk, motivational talks, and you must be in here because you feel this too, okay? So you have to let me know if you can relate to this. Do you feel like that you're meant for something bigger than just a 9 to 5?
Yes.
Do you feel that there is something that you're supposed to be doing, something you're called to do, that is bigger than yourself, that will impact the world in a bigger scale? And sometimes it even keeps you up at night and wakes you up so early in the morning. Can you relate?
Yes.
Then you're in the right place. I began to ask that. But here's the thing. With greater impact means more resources. You can't just say I'm going to impact the world in a bigger scale and have nothing. You need resources to be able to back that up. You need finances, you need money, you need experience, you need mentors. Then the Greatway opportunity was shown to me, and ever since then, it's been incredible because it has enabled me to be able to give more. These are some of the kids that we get to sponsor in the Philippines, and I love being able to support frontline missionaries, frontline pastors, and ministers now, okay? Because I know what it's like. Sometimes, isang kain, isang tuka. It really is just paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes there is nothing that comes in, actually, too. And so, this opportunity, the Greatway opportunity, has enabled us, my wife and I, to be able to give more. It has enabled us to be able to serve more people. And I love it. I absolutely love it. This opportunity for me personally has enabled us to become more, to develop, because if you are in this business, you will have to grow. Is that true?
Yes.
You will be forced to grow. And if you're not willing to grow, you're not going to last, unfortunately. Because if you are to see more than what you've seen in your life so far, you need to become more than what you have been in the past. Is that true? You need to become more. And that's something that I've seen this opportunity has enabled us to be able to do. And after doing this for only 9 months, my wife and I were able to buy a house. It's incredible. That's my wife. She's actually in Texas right now. Dear, if you're listening, hi.
Hi.
All right. Clark's my wife. Anyways, okay, so a little bit more for you guys is we get to travel for free. Okay, sometimes when people look at these travels and they're not from Greatway, they're like, oh, I have money, I can travel. Yeah, but it comes out of your pocket. We get to travel for free. And a lot of you guys are going to the Mediterranean soon, right? You guys are going?
Yeah.
Ah, man, you guys should have been there the last one. I know. But you will be there, okay? Next year, for sure, okay? And here's the thing. This blows my mind. I've asked this to a number of people, and maybe you'll answer me differently. How often has your current part-time or full-time job paid for an all-inclusive trip? Never! Interesting. But here in Greatway, you get to earn and get to keep your earnings, and at the same time, you get to qualify for these very generous trips. How good is that? Some people say it's too good to be true, right? Very good, very good. Well, I say it's so good that it's true. Okay? And it has enabled us to be able to earn more. This is just a 2-week income that I want to show you guys, just as a sample. Remember, when I was doing my full-time job, I didn't see more than $3,000 in a month. Actually, I even got a paycheck cut. I know what it's like to work 2 jobs, all of that stuff. I've done that before. It was like 2,950 something. It was something like that. To see this in 2 weeks? Okay, check this out. How am I doing with time? Okay, check this out. So let's say the general income of people are typically about $3,000 a month. Is that right? In 1 month. Okay. Now, I want you to take $3,000 and divide it by this amount. Wherever you are, 3, 6, 9, 12, so it's about 4, right? So, here's the equivalent. You could spend 4 months working at a job to earn that much. Or, you could spend 2 weeks, and then here's the thing. Take the next 3.5 months and do whatever you want, and your income wasn't affected. Is that a good living? Is that a good way to live? I think so. And here's the thing that I share with people as well, especially if you have a heart for ministry, if you have a heart to serve and help people. What would life look like for you if you spent 2 weeks able to earn that much, and then for the next 3.5 months you could be full-time at your ministry, at a missions trip, do something like that, short-term missions, help people, spend time with your loved ones, travel. Would that increase your quality of life? Maybe just a little bit, no? Just a little bit. All right, why Greatway? It has enabled me to be able to give more, serve more, be more, and have more. And I say this, I am no more special than you guys, okay? If we can do this, if I can do this, if some of your leaders, your AGAs can do this and see these results, there is no reason why you can't. Can you give me one good reason, and we can even look at the chat group right here, why you wouldn't be able to see the same results? Why? Is it because you're less smart than me? Would you take that? No, you would never. Is it because you're less gifted than me or some of your leaders? No, you'd be like, no, in fact, I can be better than you. Yes, that's the goal. Have that mentality. But the thing is, like, we have to watch ourselves talk. Sometimes we talk to ourselves, we're like, oh, I could never do that. Ask why. What? Are you less gifted? Are you less worthy of being able to see some of these results for yourself and for your family? If you say yes, well, I feel bad for you. But if you're sitting in here and you're saying, you're like, I am just as gifted, I am fearfully and wonderfully made by the great, great God, then what's stopping you? Nothing. Give yourselves a round of applause because you guys are amazing. Good? All right, do I have another one here? I added that in. Okay, so we're going to get into our teaching is how to prospect an older generation. All right, that's what we're going to learn about today. How to prospect an older generation. If you are in the chat box right now, or if you're in our Zoom, say yes. I want you to chat it on there, yes. If you're in here, I want you to say yes as well. Ready, set, go.
Yes!
I like it. Very, very good. There, you guys are interacting in the chat box. I like it. All right, so here's the thing. This is my goal for today. Today, I am going to prove to you by using the simplest of examples that your fear of presenting, recruiting, and showing this opportunity to your aunties, your uncles, your titos, your titas, can easily be overcome with a simple mentality shift. Everybody say mentality shift.
Mentality shift.
But here's the thing, I will only share it with you at the very end of my talk. So you gotta pay attention. When I was about 17 years old, I encountered God powerfully at a youth camp. And my life was never the same again. For the first time in my life, I began to act, talk, and carry myself differently, like a leader. Remember, I'm 17 years old. How many of you guys in here are 18 years old? See you? 19 years old? 5 years ago. It's okay. You're like wine. You're just getting better, right? I'm probably the oldest person in here, aside from my friend Leslie in the back, okay? He is actually 64 years old. Look at how young he looks, right? 64 years old. I'm just kidding. We're like about the same age. Anyways, so I was 17 when that happened. I remember specifically this one time where we had a church gathering. And after the meeting, I'll never forget it because it's when I realized something has shifted. Something has changed. Remember, I was only about 17, 18 years old at the time. What happened was after this church gathering was there was this tito. He's an uncle. He came up to me. He was in his 50s, 40s, and he asked for my advice about his kid. I'm 17 years old. What do I know about kids? What do I know about parenting? But this tito sat down with me and was like, you know what, Richard? I see you serving the youth. I see you helping with the church. Can I just ask you for advice? At that point, I knew something shifted. What do I know? I'm just a kid, right? But for some reason, they started coming to me for advice. People in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And I was still just 17 years old. Because can we all agree here that most of the time, when we want to reach out to a tita, tito, uncle, auntie, one of our biggest fears is that we feel like they're not going to listen to us because we're too young. Or you're too young. You feel like you have this scenario in your head where you're thinking, oh, that like they'll just think that I know nothing because I'm just so young. I have no credibility. Does that make sense? I want to debunk that because in that situation, around that same time, I didn't stop. In fact, what happened was I kept going. I started speaking in front of adults, older adults, young adults, all of them. I didn't stop. I knew something shifted. I didn't know what it was quite yet during that time, but I knew there was something that was different. And what can you learn? That's my question is, what can you learn from my experience that will enable you to speak in front of an older generation and be seen as credible, professional, and believable? My question for you is, do you want to learn? Yes or yes?
Yes.
You guys in the chat box, type yes as well, okay? Well, today, I'm going to prove to you by using the simplest of examples, that your fear of presenting, recruiting, and showing this opportunity to your uncles, your aunties, can easily be overcome with a simple mentality shift. But here's the thing, I will only share it with you at the end of my talk. The fact is, and I learned this from Brandon actually, our Ivari rep there. Have you guys ever heard this term, your natural market? There is in our industry what's called your natural market. That means that you will inherently prospect people who are 5 years younger than you or 5 years older than you, about that range. Now, with a show of hands, how many of you can agree this is probably what you did when you started your 6-3P, right? You reached out to people who are just about 5 years older, 5 years younger. That's kind of like our comfortable stage there. That means that you will naturally prospect people that are 5 years older or 5 years younger than yourself. You have to know that that's a fact. It's like a law of nature for you. It's our tendency. Why? That's where we are most comfortable. That means that prospecting an older generation is a stretch for you, and you will need to put in a greater amount of effort in order to break out of that natural market. Everybody say yes.
Yes.
Often it will feel like a rocket ship trying to leave the gravitational pull of the earth, but I am telling you, if you follow the Greatway system, remain coachable, and continue learning, it is absolutely possible. Everybody say it's possible.
It's possible.
Now, this is what I want you guys to do, and I want you to actually turn to the person beside you. We're going to spend a few seconds to do this, is I want you to answer this question. What's the worst that can happen when you prospect people older than you? What's the worst that can happen? So turn to your person beside you, or there's 3 of you guys, just 1 or 2 things. And for those of you guys on the chat box, while these guys are talking to each other, I'm going to talk to you. I want you to put in the chat box, what's the worst that can happen when you prospect people older than you? Now, chat box, I'm watching you guys. They say no. Oh, that is not so bad. Hey, you guys on the chat box, I can see you. Okay? They say bad things about you. That's another one that's very true. What was that? Credibility. Put your greatest fears on the chat box, okay? Well, they're doing that. Doubt your knowledge. That's true. That's what the people are saying. Intimidating, okay? That's the worst thing that can happen is you feel intimidated. What about you guys in here? What'd you come up with? What's the worst that can happen? Rejection? Okay, you can see that? Something, what? Something they know more than us. That's a big one, right? You're afraid that because they're older, they're gonna know more than you. That they're gonna say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you're too young. Is that true? Okay, what else? What else did you guys come up with? You're on what? Assumptions, right? They're gonna tell you, this is just your limited understanding. These are your assumptions, is that right? Okay, what else? What else do you got? What's the worst that can happen? See, there's something powerful about speaking your fear out, that it loses its power. So just know that everything that I'm getting you guys to do, there's actually purpose behind it. What is the worst that can happen? Let it out. Because Tony Robbins says, if you're in your head, you're dead. You gotta let it out. What else? What's the worst that can happen? Negativity around insurance industry. Doubt your intention. That's a big one. Oh, you just want to make commission off of me. Is that right? Oh, this is peer meeting. You just want to recruit me. Right? What's the worst? Doubt your intention. They say bad things. Here's the thing too, right? They say bad things about you to your family members. Right? Right? Okay? Now, let's flip the question a little bit. What's the best thing that can happen when you prospect people older than you? I want you to actually turn to the person beside you, or groups of 3, and answer that. And I want you guys on the chat box, what's the best thing that can happen if you prospect people older than you? Yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to talk about commission. You get paid more. Yes, you do. We're in business, guys. We're not a nonprofit organization. It's okay to talk about money. Because here's the thing, whoever you are before money comes will just be magnified. If you're a generous person, guess what? When you have more money, you're just gonna be more generous. That's what our leaders do, that's our CEO. Don't be afraid to talk about money. Because here's the thing, most people live a third of their week trying to generate money. A third of their week. 8 hours, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, often more. And then they say, oh, it's not about the money. Well, you go to work every day, 8 hours a day to make money. I think it's a big factor in life. Okay? You can get referrals. They will join you. They join the business. They share the business with others. Okay? Help them retire early. That's incredible, right? Help them to buy a house. Do you know how big of a dream it is for our titos, our aunties, our uncles to buy a house? The very floor you step on is yours? I'm telling you this. I'm 32 years old, way older than you guys. And I'm telling you, when you own your own house, it's different, man. It really is. And then some people live their whole lives working 30, 40 years just to be able to afford their own home. Okay? And when we talk about that, we're talking about their very lives, all right? All right, you can get referrals. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to read this with me, at this point you should be familiar with it. Today I am going to prove to you by using the simplest of examples that your fear of presenting, recruiting, and showing this opportunity to your aunties, your uncles, can easily be overcome with a simple mentality shift. Why? How? Because with the example I will share with you at the end of my talk, an older person went to you, young as you are, and saw you as a professional. Don't miss that. In that context, they did not doubt a single word that you said. They believed your knowledge, your capability, and took action right away because of your advice. They listened without a shadow of a doubt. But here's the thing, I'll only share it at the end. Okay? First, here's some benefits of courageously presenting to older folks. Okay? Take notes. What are some of the benefits? Because you got to know what you're going to get out of this. The first one here is they are more likely to see the value in our product and in our service. Is that true?
Yes.
This looks really, really familiar. Where have you might have seen this before? 30 plus? MCMAY? You don't have your PCL, that's why you don't know. But that's our pre-qualification. Is older folks, us older folks, we are more likely to see the value in that product or in that service. They can see the value in saving, investing, and protecting their loved ones better and more clearly. Everybody say yes.
Yes.
Why? Because when we're young, when you're young, we have a tendency to think that we're immortal or will live forever. How often have you heard a young person say this? I don't really have any assets, I don't have any responsibilities, if I die, it's okay. Do you know who's gonna pay for your funeral bill? When I was getting my training as a pastor, we went to a funeral home to actually scope out how much it would cost for a full funeral. You know how much a coffin is? A few $1,000s. They can't just wrap you in a paper bag and then put you in there, okay? You actually have to pay for this stuff. Guess who's going to pay for that? Your loved ones. Easily $35,000. And I learned this as well early, is that when something happens, unexpected, there's a death, you want people to be able to grieve with their hearts without having to grieve with their pockets. Is that true? Okay. Some of the benefits of presenting to older people, older folks like us, more likely have extra money to invest. They are more likely to have extra money to invest. $300, $400, $500, even $1,000 a month is nothing to an adult who has been working for some time. But mind you, there are also those adults, older people, who might look at that and say, man, $100 a month, I can't even afford that. I'm on consumer proposal. Hey, guess what? Do we have a solution for them?
Yes.
What do you call that? A great opportunity. IRP is tough for them. Hey, show them the opportunity. They'll still need to get the IRP because it'll cause them to be able to save. But at the same time, you give them a way out. Because if they continue going down the path that they're going down, is there anything that's going to change? Is their lives going to look different? No. But if you show them the opportunity, overcome your fear, courageously present to them, because I don't think fear ever leaves in these scenarios. I think we just learn to overcome them. Is that true? Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the midst of fear. Everybody say yes.
Yes.
You guys learning something?
Yes.
Good. Here's another benefit. You are able to potentially help multiple family members. You have the beautiful privilege to protect whole families, parents and kids. That's incredible. I'll let you take down notes. There are some of you that are taking notes. Everybody in the chat box, if you're learning something, say yes. Okay, question for you. How many of you have ever had somebody pass away in your family or friends? Show of hands. How many of you have ever seen GoFundMe on social media? Show of hands. How many of you are okay with that and is not bothered by that? Show of hands. Oh, there's some of you, and that's okay. For me, it bothers me. I'm like, just one solution. Is it travel insurance if they're a visitor? Is it even just as simple as term? Having $100,000 of coverage is it's so minimal. But somebody once said this, one of the Ivari guys, he said, it's better to be 20 years early than a second too late. Is that true? All right, lastly, you will get compensated better. Again, do not be afraid to talk about getting paid or money. I always get this. I notice this when people start talking about money, they have this nervous giggle. They're like, oh yeah, we get more commission. It's okay to talk about money. It absolutely is. You should be making money. Why? Because not only will it be able to provide for you and your needs, you'll be able to give more to other people. Remember, who you are before success comes will just be magnified. And so, work on your character, and then make more money, and then you'll make this world a better place. Is that true? Okay, we're going to get into some tips. But first, do you want me to put it back? Did you guys miss that one? You can take a picture if you want. They're more likely to see the value, okay? By the way, you get compensated better. Why? You do one presentation and it could be 2 applications, 3, 4, 5 if they have kids. If you really do a bang-up job on presenting to them, they see the value in it, they're gonna get it for their whole families. It's amazing. Hannah, you've had this situation before, right? Yeah. Hannah here, if I can brag about her a little bit, she is my co-team member under EVP Marlon Prell. She made, $13,000 in 45 days. 13,000 something in 45 days. Yes, give her a round of applause. She took the jump actually. I don't suggest this to everybody, but if the circumstances doesn't permit you, then take the jump. She went full time, became CP after a few weeks, became CFT after a month? 5 weeks? Girl, you're crazy. Give her a round of applause, my goodness. Anything is possible as long as you are coachable. All right. Today, I am going to prove to you by using the simplest of examples that your fear of presenting, recruiting, and showing this opportunity to your aunties, uncles can easily be overcome with a simple mentality shift. Why? How? Because with the example I will share with you at the end of my talk, an older person, 10, 20, 30 years older than you, went to you, young as you are, and saw you as a professional. They did not doubt your credibility. In that context, they did not doubt a single word you said. They believed in your knowledge, capability, and took action right away because of your advice. They listened without a shadow of a doubt. But I'll only share it at the end. Now, here's some practical tips I want to give you guys in order to build credibility, in order to be able to be seen by an older person and say, hey, I trust this person. Everybody say yes.
Yes.
First off, know that psychologically speaking, people will make a judgment of you the first 90 seconds of meeting you. Everybody say 90 seconds. You better put that down. Put that down in your notes. The first 90 seconds of people meeting you, they will make judgments of you. And you can stand here and look at me and say, well, that's not fair. We shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Right? But Jim Rohn said this. He says, we should not live by, it should be this way. She should do this. He should do that. No, we should live by reality. What are the facts? What do people actually do? Right? If you think that, oh, they should be doing this, they shouldn't be doing that, don't live in shoulds. Live in reality. What do they actually do? And adjust your life, your business accordingly. All right? They will make a judgment of you in the first 90 seconds. I actually learned that from public speaking course that I took. That's why these tips are so important. All right? So here's the first thing, dress the part. Everybody say dress the part.
Dress the part.
What would you feel like? You guys here too on the chat box, you can reply to this. How would you feel like if somebody came up to you looking like this and say, hey, would you like to save more money? Would you entrust your finances to somebody that says, yeah, Joey, Mr. Young and Saucy, all right? Would you like to? I'm just kidding, Joey, okay? I'm just kidding. All right. Would you? No, find yourself coming to meetings, even in Zoom. In Zoom, you're wearing a tank top, a hoodie. I'm like, my goodness, you're wearing a hat backwards. And that's okay in other circumstances. Joey says here, that's why I changed it. That's okay, bro, you're a legend. Okay, how would you feel? You know, this is all you need to do when it comes to Zoom calls, all right? I have the same polo shirt and the same blazer hung up on my my office chair. If you notice, I will always wear the same thing on a Zoom call. Why? Because nobody needs to know I'm not wearing any like dress pants or anything like that. It's a Zoom call. Now, so much more when it comes to in person. People will make a judgment on whether or not they are going to trust you in the first 90 seconds. Is what they see worth trusting? All right? If there's one thing I learned from my old mentors is seeing is believing. If you want people to believe you, they have to see you carry yourself differently, professionally, and with confidence. And here's the thing, it's not expensive. Everybody say it's not expensive.
It's not expensive.
If you're sitting in here, you're telling me, Kuya Richard, I don't have income yet. I'm only a student. I'll never tell you what they are, but some of my stuff I still wear, they're from Value Village. But you didn't know that. You didn't know that. It's not expensive, but it is intentional. It doesn't have to cost you much, but it does have to make the right impression to your prospects. Sometimes the reason why the older generation doesn't see you as credible is simply because of how you dress when you're around them. Is that true? Yes. Everybody say yes. If they're going to trust you with their financial future, with their family's financial well-being, you need to look and dress in a trustworthy manner. First impressions are crucial. Everybody write that down. First impressions are crucial. Okay? How am I doing with time? Okay, thank you. Now, okay, I'll let you write. Are you guys learning something?
Yes.
Chat box people, can you say yes to me, please? Thank you, chat box. Here's the thing too, really crucial thing. Your social media is your storefront. Do you know what I mean when I say storefront? Like, have you ever been to like a store, a restaurant or something like that, and you just take one look at it and you're like, You know what I mean? Your social media is your storefront. Most of the time, the people you're trying to prospect are looking at your social media more than they're looking at you or seeing you live in person. Is that true? They see you live in person maybe once a week, maybe once in a month. They see your social media posts every single day, sometimes more than once a day. What image are you projecting? What image are you projecting? Is it trustworthy? Or is it, would you like to save more money? Like this guy. All right, next one here, okay? So, you have to know your stuff. Everybody say know your stuff.
Know your stuff.
Know your stuff. Some of you might say, but I'm still just a student, Kuya Richard. If you're a student, when I was a student, I was watching every video on FCI. It wasn't called FCI back then. Every training I was watching, and I was hungry. Like, I wasn't just, taste test, tikim. I wasn't just taste testing this thing. I was like, I'm all in. I see the potential. I gotta go all in. I gotta know my stuff. If you're a student, you can accelerate your learning by reading, listening, and asking questions. Watch the ATP videos. That alone has so much knowledge already. Other resources in your My Greatway office or your FCI, leverage your leaders. Everybody say, I will leverage my leader.
I will leverage my leader.
Now, for those of you guys who are already licensed, you really better know your stuff. Because here's the thing, especially if you're training someone, if you're already CFT, have you ever done a presentation for somebody, like a student, and you're a CFT, and the person you guys are presenting to, the student is watching, the person asks a really tough question, and you're like, has that ever happened? There are few things that will take your credibility away faster than that. You have to know your stuff. And here's the thing, you don't always have to have the answers. I'm going to give you a tip. This is really handy. If somebody asks you a tough question, know your stuff, but there will come a time where somebody will ask you a question and you have no idea. You're like, whoosh, this is like, wow, beyond me. I have no idea what to say. You can answer that question without losing credibility. And I'm going to share you that tip. Everybody say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Take notes. Somebody asks you, well, why don't I just blah, 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 blah. They say that. You don't know the answer. You want to maintain your posture of credibility and professionalism? Answer with this. That's a really good question. I just have to verify one more detail regarding that, and I'll message or call you after our presentation to give you the answer. That's a really good question, though. We'll tackle it after the presentation. Simple, but powerful. You maintain, you still kind of hint that, hey, I know what I'm talking about, even though inside your head you're like, I have no idea what the answer is. But after the call your AGA. Call Tito Marlon, for crying out loud. He will have the answer, right? Call a BDM, call somebody. I learned this from Henry Ford. It's not about having all the knowledge and having amazing memory. It's actually about knowing where to draw knowledge from. That's what truly intelligent people are like. They don't memorize every little detail when it comes to everything. Instead, they know how to draw knowledge from sources and actually use them practically. Does that make sense, everyone? Everybody say yes.
Yes.
All right. Here's a big one. You have to learn to speak with confidence. Everybody say confidence. Everybody say, I am going to learn how to speak with confidence. I am going to learn to speak with confidence. Very good. Give yourselves a round of applause. Some of you, this is your older brother lovingly sharing this. Some of you, your biggest problem is you sound like a little kid when you're talking to an adult. You're like, Tita, can you help me with my presentation? Seriously, I've heard it. You sound like a little kid. Or you're like, Tito, would you like to save more money? Why is that accent my go-to? I don't know why that accent is my go-to. But it sounds almost like Mexican, actually. But here's the thing. Confidence comes in many forms, one of which is your tone of voice. You can say it like this as well. Tita, I am currently studying to help more people, such and such and such. Can you assist me with my training? Can you help me with my training? The only difference in what I did there was my tone of voice. And here's the thing, I'm huge on this because it's kind of what I specialize in, is communication. Work on your communication skills. Work on your communication skills. The beautiful thing is confidence in communicating to people effectively is actually a learnable skill. Nobody is born out of their mother's womb and all of a sudden they can speak confidently. You know how weird that would sound? They would sound like Stewie, you know, from like Family Guy. Have you ever heard of a baby talking confidently right out of the womb? They come out, they're like, yay! You know what I mean? No, they're all like quiet and goo goo gaga. That means that we can learn it. You can learn it. Everybody say, I can learn, to speak with confidence. Remember, communication is a transference of energy. If you are fearful and unsure, that's what you will transfer to people. Write that down. How's that? Who's that? Pogi ni RJ. All right? Remember, confidence is a learnable skill. Rarely are you born with it. It is something we develop along the way. That's good news for you. Did you know, and I share this with people all the time, I was not born here. I was born in the Philippines. At one point, my English was terrible. My English was balubaluktot. My English was topsy-turvy. That's what you can say. My English was really bad. But I worked on it. I used to have those moments. You have those, instead of saying fish, you say fish. Or instead of 3, like the number 3, you're like tree. You know what I mean? I know, I understand. English is my second language. But you can learn to be better. Okay? You guys learning something?
Thanks.
Good, I'm just about done. Today, I told you that I was going to prove to you by using the simplest of examples that your fear of presenting, recruiting, and showing this opportunity to your aunties, your uncles, your titos, your titas can easily be overcome with a simple mentality shift. Now the moment you've all been waiting for, and I will unveil this to you in the form of a story, a little bit of a tragic story. Has this ever happened to you? One quiet evening, you were minding your own business in your bedroom. You might have been on social media doing some homework. Hopefully you weren't doing sketchy things. When all of a sudden your parents frantically calls you from the living room and they say, "Come, it's urgent." And you can tell that they are serious because of their tone of voice. And you rush out of your room in a panic, adrenaline through the roof. You get to the living room, your parents are there, looking at you with nervous, confused, and a near panic look in their eyes. And you, with fear and anxiety gripping your heart, you approach your parents cautiously and you say, "What happened?" They look at you with eyes wide open, almost filled with tears. And they say this, "Anak, son, daughter, how do you make the iPad brighter? How do you cut this video and make it shorter? I want to post it on Facebook." "How do you put this picture beside this picture? I want to post it on my Facebook." Okay? Has that ever happened to you? Say yes on the chat box, put your hand up if that's ever happened.
Yes.
Now, here's the amazing thing that happens, okay? Don't miss this. The magical example I was telling you about. Are you guys all listening? Don't miss this. You then proceed to teach them about their device, and they listen to you intently. They look at you as a professional. You might as well have been a rep from the Apple Store. They don't doubt a single word that you said. They believed in your knowledge, capability, and they took action right away. They listened without a shadow of a doubt. Now, what's the difference between that and showing them our presentation? Nothing. Nothing more than a mentality shift. Everybody say mentality shift.
Mentality shift.
The only difference is your mentality towards the situation. I hope you grasp how simple that example is, but how profound it is. They believed every word you said. If you can teach them about technology, you can enlighten them about their finances. Is that true?
Yes.
Here's the reality, okay? As an adult, we don't know everything. And as I work with people, heck, I know that for sure we don't know everything. And oftentimes we project and we make it look like we know everything. We don't. There's always room for improvement. How do I know? 67% of people, by the time they reach the age of 65, is financially weak. Does that look like a generation that knows what they're doing when it comes to their finances? No. As a young person, you have this obligation, responsibility, and privilege to be able to save people from that financial ruin. We did a presentation to an ATB wealth management a little while ago. And he said, when he saw the presentation, he said, "Richard, it's no longer 67%, it's actually 72 from our stats. 72%. Why? What happened in the last 2 years? COVID. People lost their jobs. Guess what they did? They emptied their savings account, their retirement fund in the last 2 years. They now have to start from zero. We have a responsibility to help a generation who is getting older to know better, save better, protect their family better. And it's a privilege. Wrap it up with this. We go into a full circle. Why did that adult come to you for advice regarding that situation and believed everything you said? What are the similarities? Well, first of all, as a young person, you probably dressed the part. You knew your stuff because you're on your devices all the time. And you spoke with confidence, sometimes with irritation too, right? You're like, just do this, okay? Just do that. Hey, look. These are the exact 3 tips I gave you in the beginning. So young professionals of Greatway, I leave you with this. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example in the way you talk, the way you live, the way you love, and through your faith. My name is Richard Sampak, and it has been an absolute honor to be able to serve you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.